Welcome back. In this video we're going to look at data frames and packages. You can click on these things in the slides, by the way. Data frames are a very common object in R for tables with different data types like numbers or character strings or categories or integers. A read table that we've seen in the last video also returns a data frame. If we have a data frame object that I'm for the slides going to name df. Now don't do this in real life, use good object names. Df, what kind of data frame is that? Well, this is just a generic thing. We can subset that with the name of the object, square brackets, and then rows, comma, columns in between. Now this is a placeholder for a selection of rows. We have a couple of, or columns. We have a couple of ways to do that. We can say, well, we want the first row and then the columns 2, 3, 4. So we can do that. We can get the second row in its entirety. Both of these versions of subsetting will get us back a subset of the data frame that is a data frame in itself too. We can also get one column. Now within one column there's only one data type, so selecting this means that the data can be simplified. So this will not return a data frame but just a vector of things. And you can use the name of the column as a character string to select that. Now this can be abbreviated a little bit with the dollar syntax, data frame, dollar, and then the name will be auto-completed by RStudio. Let's have a brief look at that with the climate example. If we start typing the object name, RStudio will auto-complete that for us, and then with the dollar we can select these columns, and if we start typing something, all the selections will come up. In case it doesn't do that, you can hit the tab key and then it will select the currently selected one. So that's very practical, and if you run this you will see a vector with things coming out of that that you can see by the output only having numbers and not a row, comma, column. And with that in mind, it's time for the next exercise. Go ahead and pause the video and work on these tasks. The solution would be to select rows, comma, column, or a column by the dollar syntax, and you can take those values and pass them on to the maximum or whatever function, and the square brackets are easier to understand for humans, and it will return the same if the order of columns is changed, as opposed to putting in column number 3, because you would not necessarily know what is in column 3 when reading the code, but it needs a little bit more typing than just df color 3. Now this one will save us from typos in RStudio with the autocompletion, and it's nice and fast, but you cannot use it in loops or functions where you want to give this name as an input. Also, if you try to select a column that doesn't exist, you will not get an error, which you will here. Sadly, it doesn't give an error here. So all three options have things going for them. Now, R has something going for it too. A lot of people writing R code that does something awesome, and putting that into a package and onto CRAN, the Comprehensive R Archive Network, lets everybody install that stuff very easily. You can just use the function install.packages, and you can do that in RStudio too. If you click on packages, install, you can just start typing ggplot2, for example, is a popular package for graphics visualizations, and so you can just click on it and run install, and it will do that for you. It will install dependencies if needed, and this is all done fairly quickly. This needs to be done only once. It does normally not need admin rights, and you can do it manually in RStudio as I just showed you. Now, if you want to use an R package, you need to load it from your local library. So you're going to use the function library to load that package into your work environment. That is needed whenever you restart R, so you should have this in the script for it to be reproducible. Once you've done that, you can use any function that comes from that package straight away. Now, if you have multiple packages with a function that share a name, things might get confusing because the lastly loaded package will be the one from which that function is used. To avoid any ambiguities, you can use the structure package : function. So for example, from my rdvd package, you can use a function find id and put in a name and it will find the ID of a weather station close by. This is clear. You can read this, you know, okay, find ID is a function from this package there, and R will also always deal with that way, and so it's safer than just loading the whole package and running individual functions, because there might be another find ID function in a package that you load after rdvd, and then, you know, it wouldn't do that. Now, this syntax is perfectly fine if you want to run a lot of functions from one package. So, for the next video, we're going to finally get to visualizing data. See you then.